Your Excellencies, dear participants, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. With the help of Allah, we declare open the emergency open-ended meeting of the Executive Committee of the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation at the level of Foreign Ministers. We start our session with verses from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, allow me to deliver a short statement. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Your Excellency, Mr. Hussein Taha Ibrahim, Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Your Excellency, Prince Faisal bin Farhan bin Abdullah Al Saud, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Your Excellency, Mr. Jayhun Bayramov, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Azerbaijan. Your Excellency, Mr. Lejum Mbela Mbela, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Cameroon. Your Excellency, Mr. Hakan Fidan, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Turkey and Chair of the 51st OIC CFM. Your Excellencies, Mr. Fawad Mohammed Hussein, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Iraq. Your Excellencies, Madam Barsin Akbikan Sahin, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the State of Palestine. Your Excellencies, colleague foreign ministers and permanent representatives of the OIC members and observer states, Excellencies, senior officials of the OIC General Secretariat, distinguished delegates, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is with profound sense of honor and responsibility that I preside over this open-ended extraordinary meeting of the OIC Executive Committee at the level of foreign ministers, convened at a critical juncture in response to the alarming development in the occupied Palestinian territory, including Al-Quds al-Sharif. The Republic of the Gambia assumes this responsibility in its capacity as chair of the 15th OIC Islamic Summit of the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation. We thank members of the Executive Committee, the State of Palestine, the OIC General Secretariat, and the General Secretariat for the swift coordination of this important meeting. Excellencies, we meet today against the backdrop of renewed and escalating illegal measures undertaken by Israel. The occupying power, particularly its recent decision aimed at expanding and consolidating colonial settlements activities in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. This action seeks to impose a fait accompli by altering the legal, demographic, and geographic character of the occupied Palestinian territory. They are manifestly illegal under the international law, including the Fourth Geneva Convention of 1949, and are in direct contravention of the relevant United Nations Security Council resolution, notably Resolution 2334 of 2016, which unequivocally affirms that Israel's settlements have no legal validity and constitute a flagrant violation under international law. Such unilateral measures are not merely administrative decisions. They represent deliberate attempts to entrench occupations, fragment Palestinian territory, displace Palestinian communities, and undermine the viability of the two-state solution based on the pre-1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as the capital of the State of Palestine. Excellencies, the continued expansion of settlement, confiscation of land, demolition of homes, and forced displacement of Palestinians constitute grave breaches of the international humanitarian law and international human rights law. These actions exhibit tensions, fuel instability, and threaten to plunge the region into further cycle of violence. Moreover, these policies are undertaken at a time when renewed diplomatic efforts are urgently needed to restore confidence and revive a credible political process. Instead of fostering peace, these measures undermine ongoing international efforts and risk foreclosing any realistic prospects for a just, comprehensive, and lasting settlement of the conflict. The OIC has consistently and unequivocally affirmed its principled position in support of the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people, including their right to self-determination, the right to return, and the right to establish an independent and sovereign state of Palestine on the basis of the 4th June 1967 borders with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital. We reiterate that all measures aimed at altering this status, identity, and character of the Al-Quds al-Sharif are null and void and have no legal effect. Excellencies, the international community bears a legal and moral responsibility to uphold international law and ensure accountability. The continued impunity for violations embolden further unlawful actions. We therefore call upon the United Nations Security Council to assume its responsibility under the United Nations Charter and ensure the implementation of its relevant resolutions. All states to refrain from organizing or recognizing any illegal measures undertaken by the occupying power and ensure compliance with their obligations under international law. 3, the international community to intensify efforts to revive a genuine peace process grounded in international legitimacy, the relevant United Nations resolutions, the Arab Peace Initiative, and the two-state solution. For respect for and implementation of the relevant advisory opinions and proceedings before the International Court of Justice, which reaffirm the illegality of measures aimed at annexation and demographic alterations. Excellencies, our meeting today must send a clear, unified, and resolute message. The Palestinian cause remains the central cause of the Ummah. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation stands firm in solidarity with the Palestinian people in their just struggle for freedom, dignity, and statehood. Unity of purpose among member states is indispensable. Our collective voice must translate into coordinated diplomatic engagement, strengthen political advocacy, and concrete support for the resilience of the Palestinian people. As chair, the Gambia remains committed to working closely with all member states, the State of Palestine, and the OIC General Secretariat to ensure that the outcome of this meeting contributes meaningfully to the international efforts aimed at ending the occupation and achieving a just and durable peace in the Middle East. Let us rise to this moment with clarity, solidarity, and determination. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Excellencies, I now have the honor to give the floor to His Excellency, the Secretary General of the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation, whose statement will be delivered on his behalf by His Excellency Ambassador Samir Bekar, Assistant Secretary General for Palestinian and Al-Quds. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. معالي السيد سيرين مودونيجا وزير الخارجية والتعاون الدولي في جمهورية
Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of the Gambia, Her Excellency Dr. Farsim Chaheen, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriate of the State of Palestine, Your Highnesses, Excellencies, and distinguished guests. I welcome you all and appreciate your participation in the extraordinary open-ended meeting of the Executive Committee at the level of Ministers of Foreign Affairs to consider the illegal decisions of the Israeli occupation aimed at deepening control, strengthening settlement activity and annexation, changing the legal, political and demographic status of the occupied Palestinian territory, and undermining the two-state solution. We warn of the danger of these Israeli measures which target the existence of the Palestinian people, their land and their holy sites, and their legitimate rights. We reiterate that Israel, the occupying power, has no sovereignty over the Palestinian territory, which include the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, including the city of Al-Quds Sharif and its Islamic and Christian holy sites. The continued Israeli presence in the occupied Palestinian territory is illegal and its occupation must end. All its decisions and measures must cease as they are null and void under international law and relevant United Nations resolutions, including Security Council Resolution 2334. As well as the legal opinion of the International Court of Justice. The Israeli occupation forces and extremist settler groups continue to commit systematic crimes and violations throughout the occupied Palestinian territory. Reports have documented the death of more than 600 martyrs and injuries of more 1,600 Palestinians since the ceasefire agreement was signed on October 11, 2025. In this regard, we call for the swift implementation of the second phase of the peace plan under the UN Security Council Resolution 2803, which would achieve a sustainable ceasefire, open all crossings, and deliver humanitarian aid, ensure the complete withdrawal of the Israeli occupation forces, and implement emergency relief, economic recovery, and reconstruction programs, while emphasizing the rejection of displacement and guaranteeing the unity of the Palestinian territory, including the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, including East Al-Quds. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, and distinguished guests, We condemn the irresponsible statements and the false ideological claims that constitute an unacceptable and illegitimate justification for Israel, the occupation power, to continue its illegal settlement and annexation practices and its attempt to impose its purported sovereignty over the occupied Palestinian territory. These actions also violate the sovereignty of states and the principles of international law, as well as the resolutions and charter of the United Nations, thus threatening security and stability in the entire region. While we warn of the danger of Israel's unacceptable measures to liquidate the Palestinian refugees issue by targeting the existence of the UNRWA and its vital role in providing for the basic needs of millions of Palestinian refugees, we emphasize the need to redouble political, financial, and legal support for this UN agency, whose role is of paramount importance and a testament to the international commitment to the rights of Palestinian refugees and a stabilizing factor in the region. In conclusion, we stress the need to redouble efforts to galvanize the international community's responsibility to put an end to the crimes of the area occupation against the Palestinian people, enabling them to exercise their legitimate rights, including the right to self-determination and the establishment of their independent state within the June 4th, 1967 borders, with East Al-Quds as its capital. We are confident that this meeting will produce decisions that contribute to coordinating our positions and strengthening our efforts to support the rights of the Palestinian people and their just cause. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. ازيك عبدو؟ لا جنبي قالت كلمتها وبعدين امين عام، بس الامين العام قالها عن الامين العام القى عنه سمير بكر مع انه قاعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellency, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad, the Chair of the meeting, representative of the OIC Secretary General, Ambassador Samir Baki, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, dear audience, ladies and gentlemen. I would like, in the name of the State of Palestine, in the name of President Mahmoud Abbas, and in the name of all our resistant people of Palestine, would like to thank you for holding this emergency open-ended meeting. I would like also to thank the Islamic Troika, the Secretary General, and all member states for their support and persistent commitment to the Palestinian right. And we congratulate you on the coming of Ramadan, and we wish you many months of Ramadan full of prosperity for all our Ummah. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, we didn't come to this extraordinarily open-ended meeting to repeat the same language already adopted, especially in the light of the changes and the escalating violations and genocide. We are here today with you to think and work in order to find ways to resist all of that at a very critical junction, and in light of the continuous escalation by Israel and the declaration by Israel, the occupying power, of its decisions, measures and procedures in order to deepen a fait accompli which is illegal, in order to expand settlement and to impose and deepen annexation policies and change the status and the character of the occupied Palestinian territory, and in order to register large amounts of land of the Palestinian territory, in addition to mischaracterizing legal and historical facts and escalating the terrorism of the extremist settlers protected by the Israeli army, in order to draw the West Bank into a circle of violence, in order to move the genocide from the Gaza Strip to the West Bank, including Al-Quds. Ladies and gentlemen, what is being done by the Israeli occupation for decades is the continuation of a systematic policy and a colonialist expansionist scheme which aims to liquidate the Palestinian issue and to impose realities on the ground through colonial settlement and to seize lands and to decharacterize and dismantle the lands of Palestine and to displace our people in order to displace them and to put an end to the two-state solution. These practices are war crimes and crimes against humanity, and it jeopardize international peace and security and destabilizes our region and the entire world. It asserts the colonialist, expansionist nature of the Israeli occupation, which is illegal for the occupied Palestinian territory. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, the occupied Jerusalem, Al-Quds, with all its status, historical, religious, and civilizational, is facing daily attacks in order to obliterate its characterization and to change its historical facts and its historical and legal status and to impose the illegal sovereignty of Israel on it through colonial schemes, including that called A1. In the same context, we refer to the danger of the recent schemes of Israel that aim against Islamic and Christian sanctities in order to change the legal status of Al-Haram Ibrahimi in Hebron or Al-Khalil by transferring sovereignty over these entities to illegal settlement authorities in a provocative measure that is against all international conventions and all UN resolutions and the resolutions of the UNESCO, and a direct attack against the civilization and the human heritage of Palestine. We cannot also ignore the continuation humanitarian disaster of the Gaza Strip and the violations and mass crimes and mass destruction by the occupying power. Since the fragile ceasefire, more than 500 Palestinians were martyred, in addition to the closure of the crossings and the hindering of the flow of humanitarian assistance and the lagging in moving to the second phase of the ceasefire in order to have complete withdrawal of Israel from the Gaza Strip, recovery and reconstruction in order to end the suffering of our people. This requires us to face the continuation of Israeli attacks against international organizations operating in the occupied Palestinian territory, most notably the UNRWA, through attacking its people and its premises and to block its operations and imposing illegal restrictions on them in violations of the principle of protecting humanitarian staff and international law and international humanitarian law in order to undermine the rights of the Palestinian refugees. This is in addition to the pursuit of the Israeli occupation of the execution of the Palestinian prisoners and the continuation of administrative block of the premises, as well as the bodies of the martyrs, which is an international crime. It's high time to address all aspects of these criminal occupations in light of the suffering faced by the Palestinian people by holding them accountable and holding all those irresponsible of these violations accountable. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, what encourages Israel is international silence and double standards and the lack of accountability, in addition to a racist, provocative discourse that has various illegal facts that decharacterize historical facts and legal rights of the Palestinian people, that legitimizes the seizure of some territory in the Middle East or in the West Bank, and we expressed our denunciation of the statements by the U.S. ambassador in Israel, Mark Huckabee, in which he would accept the practice of Israel to dominate some land of some Arab countries, including the West Bank and including East Al-Quds, in addition to our condemnation of the declaration of the U.S. Embassy in the occupied Al-Quds by issuing consular services for the settlers in violation of international law and for international conventions. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, the crimes of the Israeli occupation has affected all aspects of life, land, laws, and people, and what we need today is to maintain the people, the issue, and the land through operations, operative, and as well as actions on the ground, not only by the OIC member states but in the entire world, and to spare no efforts not to in order to stop all these actions and in order to face the Israeli occupation and its colonial practices, in which undermines the international law and undermines all international principles, including severing ties with Israel, the occupying power, including all types of ties, in addition to the parliamentary ties, and this would stop this occupation from existence, and to use your international ties in order to impose restrictions and on this illegal occupation in order to achieve withdrawal from the occupied Palestinian territory, and to recognize the state of Palestine and enable the Palestinian people to practice their inalienable rights for sovereignty and self-determination. And return, dear audience, the entire world, including the UN, should burden its responsibility in order to force Israel to abide by the rules according to which it was accepted as member of the UN, including its commitment to respect the resolution of the General Assembly 181 and the resolution of 1949, as well as resolution 94 in 1948 regarding the refugees' right. And in this regard, I would like to refer to the political commitment mentioned by the Foreign Minister of Israel, Moshe Sharid, in a statement to the UN in which he accepted these resolutions and its commitment to implement them, which paved the way for its recognition as member of the UN by the General Assembly Resolution 279. The continuation of such illegal practices and laws, including seizure of Palestinian territory and settlement, and the annexation schemes and the terrorism of settlers and the seizure of the tax money of Palestine and undermining the authorities of the Palestinian people as well as the Palestinian Authority is a violation of international law and international humanitarian law and the requirement for its recognition as a state in these organizations. And this would lead to the explosion of the situation on the ground and would undermine the political efforts undertaken by the US as well as the international community in order to restart a very serious political route. This will also undermine peace and security at the international level and would undermine the two-state solution, which is accepted and recognized internationally. If this continues, we shall go to the General Assembly of the United Nations in order to take the required measures that would guarantee its respect of its obligations and stop its practices in violation of international law, and we always wish for your support in this regard. Ladies and gentlemen, peace and security in the Middle East as a strategic choice shall not be achieved without the end of the illegal Israeli occupation and the complete withdrawal from the occupied Palestinian territory since 1967, according to the principles of international law and international legitimacy resolutions and the opinions of the International Court of Justice, as well as the Arab Peace Initiatives with all its aspects and its hierarchy, according to the decision in the Arab Summit in Beirut in 2002. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, silence is no longer a choice and only condemnation is not enough, and what is required is to have a unified, resolute stance that asserts that international law is not by choice. We need to have practical steps, including taking steps at the International Security Council and the International Court of Justice and the international authorities of relevance in order to stand against these colonial practices of Israel, the occupying power, and to impose this rogue state to abide by international law. Our people, despite all suffering, are still committed to its principles and realities and to their territories, and we believe that justice will be served, but this requires international sincere will and sincere commitment and solidarity in order to be up to the challenges and to express our true solidarity spirit in order to put an end to this illegal occupation and to open an horizon for a brighter future. Thank you very much.
For a well-articulated and detailed statement. Excellency, we have now come to the conclusion of the opening session of this ordinary meeting. Excellency, we will now begin with our closed-door session. We therefore ask all media to leave the hall. The organizers are requested to kindly ensure that the media left the room. Thank you. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, you have in front of you the draft agenda and work program. If there are no observations, we can adopt the same. mentioned by member states of the Executive Committee and heads of delegations in the following order, beginning with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Republic of Turkey, the Republic of Cameroon, the Republic of Azerbaijan, and the Republic of Iran. I now have the honor to invite the distinguished representative of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Your Excellency, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Gambia, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am pleased at the outset, and on behalf of the Foreign Minister, Prince Faisal bin Al Saud, to welcome you and to thank the State of Palestine for inviting to this extraordinary meeting, where we are meeting under our conviction that the policies of the Israeli occupation and its practices constitute a threat to peace and security. And we are determined to confront this by coordinating our positions and to cooperate among ourselves and to strengthen our joint Islamic action. The Israeli violation continues on the occupied territory in violation of humanitarian and international law through illegal practices that target and propose settlement, and also to impose the purported Israeli sovereignty over Palestine in violation of international law. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia affirms its condemnation of the Israeli practices and the decision of the Israeli Knesset to allow the sale of and the buying of Palestinian lands against the international law, in violation of the international law. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia says that Israel does not have any sovereignty over Palestine, and all of the illegal plans that they are taking constitute violation of the United Nations resolution, particularly the resolution 334, and also the settlement seeks to change the demographic and legal status of the Palestinian territory, including Al-Quds Sharif. The Kingdom affirms the position of the global alliance on the two-state solution to mobilize international support, including the abidement by the steps that will encourage the two-state solution. And we reiterate our commitment to continue on this path with our international partners to establish peace that meets the aspirations of Palestinian people to self-determination with the establishment of their Palestinian state. We also affirm that Resolution 2803 is a comprehensive framework, and it goes along with the it's based on for the Palestinian people to build their capacity in the West Bank in order to establish the continuity and contiguity of the Palestinian land, and to ensure the establishment of their inalienable rights and the right to return. We also reiterate our call for delivery of humanitarian aid to the place. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia commends the effort of President Donald Trump in this regard, and we affirm that coordination with the United States constitutes a real opportunity to end the conflict and to move to the integration and sustainable stability. Based on the wish of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for peace, and we reject the hostile call for war, and we try to avoid escalation and call for diplomacy to ensure solution which can only be achieved through diplomacy and with abidance with the non-interference into internal affairs. In conclusion, we wish that this meeting will come up with good resolutions that will enhance peace and security in the region. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.